Today I'm going to look at ASA200, which is an important standard because it talks about the objectives of the audit. It's really about setting the scene. Let's get into it. I'm going to go past copyright information and the contents, but first let's have a look at these contents. So you'll notice same sorts of stuff about application operating date, introduction, what the standard is all about, then the requirements, that's the legally enforceable bit, and then the extra explanatory material. And now in the past I've mentioned that the explanatory material always starts with the A paragraph numbers, and you can see that right there. So the ISAs and the ASAs do have the same requirements and then the explanatory material. We don't need to look at the compilation details or this extra page here. It says that it does conform with ISA200 there. But what is important to note for my Australian students and my international students is that we do have some extra information in this section here in addition to ISA200, and that's paragraph AUS 2321. So when I'm looking at that, if you're an ISA user, that's not something you need to worry about. So they're specific to the AUS paragraphs. So let's go into the scope. And the scope is really important because this is really what this standard is all about. So it says that here we're looking at overall responsibilities when conducting an audit of the financial report. So this is really that setting the scene for what an audit is. And this is really the foundation or the description of the audit. So there's some information there about the audit of a financial report in those paragraphs, but let's go to requirements, and I'm going to skip ahead to the relevant. So the requirements start down on paragraph 14. Now, you might notice that some of these requirements are similar to something we've seen before. So the first requirement is ethical requirements under paragraph 14. They shall comply with the relevant ethical requirements. And you might notice that that is really similar to an ASA that we've already looked at, ASA 102. All right. So you might think, why do we have this here again? This is so that ASA 200 is compliant with ISA 200, but we already know that we need to comply, here we go, with ethical requirements. So besides that requirement for ethics, what else do we need to worry about, or does ISA 200 require us to look at? The first one is professional skepticism. So we have to plan and perform an audit with professional skepticism. What exactly does professional skepticism mean? Well, one of the most common definitions is the one that the auditor should have a questioning mind. That means that we don't take information at face value. We look at it and we say, does this make sense? Does this look authentic? Does this fit what we expect of the client? Now, an old saying when it came to professional skepticism used to be the thing or the phrase, trust but verify. Now, there's a reason that we don't use trust but verify anymore, and that's because trust but verify has an inherent bias. It has a bias that we're looking for information to confirm what management might say in the first place. All right, so trust but verify is something that we don't necessarily tend to use anymore, the idea of a questioning mind. And you'll notice here that it actually has some little references to the explanatory material about what professional skepticism might be. And professional skepticism is a huge topic and not really one I've got a lot of time to go through in this short video, but I'll do something on it in the future. Now, the next thing is professional judgment. So we should exercise professional judgment, which is making decisions that are contextual and subjective based on a lot of information, that we must obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence. Now remember, sufficient means how much? all right, the quantity. And then appropriate actually means, are we collecting the right sort of evidence? Now, this we'll look at in a lot more detail later on in ASA, ISA 500, but it's just teased for now in this early section. We also have to make sure that we comply with international or Australian auditing standards, we follow the objectives from those auditing standards, and follow the requirements. So you have to comply with those numbered paragraphs, all right? Numbered paragraphs. So the ones that start with a something, we don't have to worry about following as a legal requirement. Now you might notice, remember it says that the AUSs, these are Australia only. So if you're following ISAs, that's not something that we need to consider. And if we fail to achieve an audit objective, we shall consider whether it prevents the auditor from being able to do the audit overall, and we might have to give an opinion that recognises that or withdraw from the engagement. So you'll notice here now there's the explanatory material. I'm not going to go through the explanatory material. You can actually go download the standard and read that for yourself. I've just gone through the key components. If you have any questions about the requirements parts of ASA200, pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching.